Okay, and now we are live there. Everybody, welcome my good friend, Tactical Technician, aka Major Mayhem. Actually, he's a good friend of mine. I've met him, and we talk a lot. And I call him Major. I don't even know his real name, to be honest with you.
That's the
But
point.
anyway, we're going to get started on this. I know there's people in here, so we're going to gather people for a minute and mention a few items. My PayPal information will be somewhere in the chat, probably, if my mods are so kind. If you want to contribute to help me grow, that'd be great. If not, your participation is all I can really ask for. Um, let's see, starting. I'm going to do this now, then I'm going to do it again later. But I'm doing a giveaway. I said it was a 1,500 sub giveaway, but I'm going to give this away here in a few days because I'm like 9 away or something like that from my sub. So I'm going to be giving away a 1 ounce 0.999 fine silver bar. And I'm also going to give away to the same person a Trump 2020 Make America Great Again Donald Trump coin. There you go. So anyway, all you have to do is subscribe, leave a comment. And if you are a subscriber, just leave a comment. And your name will go in the hat. And as soon as I get to 1,500 subs, we'll give that away to somebody. And you can believe I do give it away. Ask Dangerous Freedom. That's how we met. Last May, I gave him 2 silver bars, and we became pretty tight friends. So anyway, speaking of Dangerous Freedom, tomorrow at 3 p.m., I'm glad to say, and I'm honored to announce that we are going to be able to continue the Dangerous Deplorables. We're going to cut it back to Friday afternoons at 3 until scheduling and other stuff works out for Sunday night. So we will be live tomorrow at 3 p.m., Dangerous Freedom and I, as the Dangerous Deplorables. So join us then. And it's always a hoot when we get together. You never know what to expect. Friday night, Deplorable Bobby, I'll have Charity O Show on with me. And she's a great lady up in New York, and she's got a lot of good information on a lot of topics. So join me Friday night for Charity O Show as my special guest. And then Sunday at 11 a.m., I have my Bible study. If you have a moment, join me there. I try to make it interesting. And Monday at 3 p.m., I'll be going on with Fight and Defend after Pete the Patriot. And then again, next Wednesday night at 8 p.m., Deplorable Bobby will be here. And as far as I know, I will be solo. I will not have a guest. Hello, DM. How are you doing? So glad you're here. I haven't seen you. I know you've been busy. Florida Jim, Margot, Iron Crane, Willman 757, Kevin Morfan, God loving Grandpa. Gotta love that name. Donnie Newman, Margot Dahlgren, and yeah, man, we got some people in here. I saw some people earlier. Kevin Morfan, Philip Turner. Thank you guys for being here. There's a lot more people in the chat than are showing up. But as we get started here, people, this is going to be a great show tonight. Tonight, we're blessed to have a friend of mine. And like I said, I was blessed to have breakfast with him one morning. And he is a fantastic guy. His name is Tactical Technician, y'all. I'm going to turn it over to him. And so have at it there, Major Mayhem.
Okay. All right. Well, as you introduced me so profoundly, and I humbly must say that I don't live up to the expectations. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I was watching your Sunday stream, and I'm sorry I missed it. And it was so good to see Detroit Prepping on there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the epiphany of walk the walk and talk the talk. Because he was right. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there that just talk politics and say we need to do something, but they never really do anything. And he's
Or they're
usually
reading it right off the laptop, word for
right,
word.
right, and so I wish I had seen it live, but the replay was just as good. I was fired up. I was inspired by it, and there was something I wanted to bring up, and we actually talked about this today. You mentioned something about that flag behind you and rendering arms when in the military, and that hit so close to home because I remember when I was in the Army, that's what a lot of people used to do. I used to watch them run across parking lots trying to get underneath some type of cover so they didn't have to render any honors. And I was stationed at Fort Hood at the time, and I remember I pulled over all the time, and I would get out and get the people out of my car, and we would all render arms.
Okay, just to bring everybody up to steam, some of the people here probably know what we're talking about.
Mm.
But go ahead and tell us exactly what we're talking about, because there's 2 times a day that we need to do this.
Yeah. There's 2 times a day, early in the morning. They raise the flag up the flagpole,
Right.
and in the evening around 5 o'clock they would bring it back down. And there was a whole honor guard that would hold up the flag and do it nice and neat and everything. And they would play taps or reveille, and you're supposed to turn in the direction of the flag, and if you don't know where the flag is, you turn in the direction of the music. And
Which let me interject here. People need to know you can be on a military base with thousands and thousands of acres, but you can hear the loudspeakers. You can hear the
Yeah.
music. You can hear reveille in the morning and taps in the evening. And you're exactly right. If you can't see that flag, it may be 2 miles from you. Turn and face that direction or the music, and then we're going to do what?
Yeah, and then we're standing still, salute
Amen.
until the end, and then drop the salute, and then go
That's
about
right.
your day. And it just it was perplexing to me because it only took like a minute out of your day.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
at the end of the day, what is 1 minute out of your day to show respect to our flag that a lot of men and women died for?
You
And
just said it. You
yeah.
just said it. Respect for the
Hmm.
flag, for what it stands for, and for what it represents. And not only that, when I was in the military, I was they called me what you call a strack troop.
Hmm.
My boots were spit shine, my fatigues were starched. Of course, now you don't starch your fatigues, but back then, we wore greens, OD greens, and they were
Hmm.
starched like a razor blade. But
Yeah.
that's because I took pride
Yeah.
in my job. I took pride in being in the military. I really did.
Hmm.
It was something that I'd always wanted to do, and when I did it, I felt home. I did 7 years. I wish I'd have done 27.
Yeah.
But um, it, I had a military pride. I
Hmm.
was proud of the military. I was proud to be in the military, but I was proud of that flag. And it used to eat my lunch when these guys would take off running. Like you said, they'd hear that first little beep of the loudspeaker before the music starts, and they'd hit
Yeah.
the first door or get under something right away. Where they just
Yeah.
because they didn't have to salute. I,
Yeah.
I I considered it an honor to stand,
Hmm.
in the middle of the road
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Well,
salute my flag, show my patriotism. That's why
yeah.
I'm
When
there.
when I became an E5, that all changed. That all changed. If I caught you doing that,
Yep.
number one, I yelled at you. I said, "Hey, respect the flag," and then they would stop. They would do salute, and I'm like, as soon as it's done, come here.
Same problem.
Yep. Get
Yep.
down. Start pushing.
Well,
Well, you're not
I
in
never
my chain
made
of
I never
command.
made people drop, but
Mm-hmm.
if they were belligerent or gave me any lip, yeah, I'd write them up. But
Yeah.
normally, I mean, uh, Well, in your situation, yeah, you have to maintain stricter discipline, in wartime than in uh, peacetime. I
Yeah.
actually went in during Vietnam, but by the grace of God, they didn't send me there.
Yeah.
So I was in peacetime, but I served with a lot of what they called U.S. I was an RA, regular Army. I enlisted,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
U.S.'s were the draftees. And
Yeah.
this was the last of the last of the last draftees when I got to
Yeah.
Europe. And these guys didn't want to be there.
Hmm.
They didn't want to get with the program. They didn't want to play the game. They didn't want to get their hair cut. They didn't want to get
Hmm.
their fatigue starched. They didn't want to shine their boots. And they were really, honest to goodness, they were a pain in the butt. They were a pain in the butt to have around. And you could only write them up so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
can only lose so much rank.
Yeah.
And most of these guys had been in for going on 2 years, and they were still E1 or E2.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they just didn't want to get with the program, and that made it difficult for all of us. So
Yeah.
I sort of wish that I had served in a stricter army like you did.
Yeah. Well, it got got kind of bad after 8 years of service.
Yeah.
I it was up. It was time for re-upping, and I just said, I'm done with this. Like, we had privates coming in that talked to NCOs that I would dare not talk to an NCO like that
No.
ever. No, like, oh, coming in and saying whatever they wanted to, and like, what, are we all buddy buddy now? I don't
Yeah.
even know
Exactly.
you.
First name basis. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a sergeant, and you're gonna respect me, and I'm gonna respect you. But if you talk to me like that, we're gonna have problems. And I was just like, and one of the things, because I went in right after 9/11, in 2002, after I graduated high school, I went in, and we still
I
had the
went in 30
fatigues.
years earlier.
And we still had the, we had the jungle boots, and we had the green fatigues, so we had to do the same thing, starch our uniform. We had to press it. Um, we had to spit shine our boots. We had to sew on the rank. We had to sew on all the patches. It was a pain in the butt, but it was a good pain in the butt. And then they came out with the ACUs and the desert combat boots, and all that
Yep.
went out the window. And I said, that's where we lost the level of discipline, is where, because you learned your discipline from actually sitting there shining your boots late at night and going, oh, Joe Sargent's going to kill me if I don't get this.
And when you
What?
leave your room in the
Yeah.
morning
Yeah.
before a call, you look and make sure your bed's made,
Yeah.
your shoes are all lined up exactly
Dress
right
right,
under your
dress your,
bed. Yeah, dress
yeah,
right, dress, and cover down.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and
And
my yeah, and I kept my locker
hmm,
per SOP. I mean, well, for
yeah.
one thing, it was neat.
Hmm.
It was orderly, and I knew where everything was
Right.
because they had a piece of paper that told me where to put everything.
Right. Yeah, they had a diagram.
Yeah, and
They
and like
taught you
after
how to.
7 years, I figured that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, they taught you how to, fold your underwear a certain way. Yeah,
Yep, yep.
fold your underwear, people. Fold your underwear. They made you fold your underwear. I was like, wow. I just used to throw mine in just a drawer and be like, thanks, Mom, for washing my dirty skivvies. Thanks. They taught you how to fold up your shirts, your brown
How to
shirts, and
roll your socks.
roll your socks. You had to roll them and then fold them over, and it just looked like a nice little bun.
Yep.
And now it's just like, I don't. I'm worried. I'm worried because I remember we had like certain phases we couldn't. We begged for the chance that we could get on the phone, and it was a payphone. Now it's oh yeah, you get mandatory 45 minutes with your cell phone. Oh, because mandatory Facebook, and it's like, where's the level of discipline? I mean, the military should never be a social experiment.
No,
Ever.
it should no, no,
No.
no, no.
It's it's our fighting force. You know, it's our
And it's a
first
fighting
response.
force with a firm structure, and
Yeah,
you should live within that structure. And but what they're doing is they're depleting that structure. They're
yeah,
taking the structure and the discipline out of it, and uh, so it's just going to go. The military is going to go downhill. And I had the same problem. Privates popping off,
hmm,
at NCOs, and if I'd have ever done that, man, I'd be in the brig.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they'd put me in lock me up. But anyway, we've talked
yeah,
enough about the military.
yeah,
We sort of got
yeah.
on a little rant there,
Well,
but
well,
yeah, man.
yeah.
See, people, we are friends, and we just talk to each other like
Well,
nobody's here. So pardon us for that. Disabled Vets Perspective, Tony Patriot, Vince
yeah,
Stun, Lynn M, DM the mod. She's in here. Thank you so
yep.
much.
DM.
Benny
Hey,
Maybe's in here.
yeah.
So go ahead. I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I'm going to
Okay.
shut up.
No, you're fine. It's your show, anyways. But
It's our show.
to our show, to kind of go into another topic is something that gets me is some of these advertisements that I've seen being pushed by political pundits, as I like to call them.
Mm-hmm.
They had these some of these veterans in there, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Because they're talking about the AR-15, and they're like, it's a military weapon, and we go to war, it's a weapon of war, and I'm like, I wouldn't go to war with that, like unless
No.
it's not an assault rifle. It's not it's not the same thing that we used in the military. I mean, and plus we also had other weapons. Um,
Right.
so and then it came to something that I have noticed, and it goes into Michael Bloomberg. Okay,
Oh my goodness. Go
and
ahead.
yeah, I have to talk about this guy because
Yeah.
um, the Super Bowl, we saw the Michael Bloomberg's anti Second Amendment campaign ad,
Right.
and I have to say this: if nobody in the chat or anything had looked it up, first of all, you guys could tell right away it was propaganda. But I, being the resourceful person that I am, and be like, well, that doesn't sound right. Let me go check this out. I went ahead and I looked it up. I had to, and yeah, George Kemp, the boy that was mentioned in that advertisement, did lose his life, and it is sad. It's very tragic. I'm not downplaying that one bit at all, but there's some truth behind what was being said, and found out from newspaper, from the Google News and all that George Kemp Jr. They made it seem like the boy was like 17 years old and lost his life to gun violence. The boy was 20 years old, okay, and he went to somebody's house to fight, and somebody there, a person there that was at the person's house, that he was trying to fight, had a gun that was illegally obtained. Not that the gun was, legally obtained. It was illegally obtained.
Uh-huh.
So he was killed by an already criminal. Somebody that
Sure.
illegally obtained it. He was there fighting somebody, and then the same Michael Bloomberg that started the stop and frisk. This is what bothers me the most: is a crying black mother is on this advertisement, and Michael Bloomberg did not care about her type of people when he implemented New York stop and frisk law. It
No.
purposely targeted these people. So she is advocating for somebody that does not care. Does not care
That's what the
because
whole stop and frisk thing was all about.
no.
Yeah, and it was. He made a comment. I read a comment that he made a few years ago. Yeah, he said, "Put them against the wall.
Hmm.
Put them against the wall. Frisk them." You know, and that is as racist as it can be because he was
Yeah,
targeting the black guy. He was targeting black people. I mean, he was
yeah,
plain and simple.
yeah. And then the cameras are still rolling. It had the claim that there were like almost 3,000 children that were killed due to gun violence. That in itself is not entirely true because that number also includes suicides, which is to me not a form of gun violence. It's a gun involved, suicide. But
Yeah, you're going to
the
kill yourself somehow.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But the information of that almost 3,000 children was taken from Everytown Gun Safety, which is Bloomberg backed. He finances this anti anti gun lobbyist group that puts out all this false information,
right.
and they do it all the time. Like when we heard about Parkland, when Parkland happened, we hear the news talking about there's been 19 school shootings in the last month alone.
Yeah,
Well, if you do the research, you find out, well, they like to tweak everything. Everything they do is they like to tweak it just enough to make it sound just right for them because the
yeah.
left, the left is really good at wordplay,
Oh,
is
of
what they
course.
are. At
Yeah,
wordplay. I mean, because you think about it, Black Lives Matter. Who wouldn't say that a black person's life doesn't matter? Nobody
of
would
course they
say that.
matter.
You
Yeah,
know, Planned Parenthood. Well, that sounds great, but what do they really do? They're, you know,
they
it's these
abort
little,
babies.
yeah, these little catchphrases that they use. And when they talk about the 19 school shootings, it's actually um, shooting. Negligent discharges from a police officer, a school resource officer. It was somebody that lives across the school in a house accidentally discharged a weapon. And it's not true information. It's not somebody actually going into the school and saying, I want to do damage to these people.
Right.
No,
It was
it's
just in the general vicinity of the
yeah,
school.
it's in
Yeah,
the general area.
yeah.
So, and then we see what happened with Virginia. Okay,
Oh my
this is
goodness.
what I want people to fight their hardest for is everybody cannot stand Michael Bloomberg. That everybody in this
True.
chat, I'm pretty sure they cannot stand the guy. But just because he doesn't get elected, just look at Virginia. He throws his money at it, and it doesn't matter if he's not elected. His policies, his ideas are going to go through because he throws money at it.
But just like he did Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
he's throwing his money in Kentucky, Tennessee,
Yeah,
Mississippi. He's throwing it all across America, and into every avenue of politics and even our social life. He's got too much money,
yeah,
and he
yeah,
doesn't. Well, today I read that he's more than happy. He told him today, "We'll spend another 300 million."
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, just
and
yeah, spend another 300 million. You've already spent 300 million. Spend another
yeah,
300 million. I don't
yeah,
care.
and
I don't care.
this is a guy that is so out of touch. Just listen to him talk about guns. I mean, he when asked it, I think it was the ADC asked him what is a semi-automatic, and he goes, "Oh, a semi-automatic is when you squeeze the trigger and it goes." Bleh. I mean,
I heard that.
you
I
know,
had to laugh.
like he gets his information from rap songs.
Yeah, well,
So,
I hate to tell him, but it's semi-automatic, as you well know.
yeah, that's
It's
not what
a
it.
one pull, one
No,
bullet. But
no, he
uh,
support he's the type of guy. He's saying like, if you shot 3 times at a deer and you missed it, then that deer deserves to live, and we should ban guns that hold it more than 3 rounds. And I'm like, wow, that is every single gun ever.
Yeah,
ever
even my
made.
shotgun's not
Yeah,
worthy. I got to get rid of it now because it holds
yeah,
5.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the person that wants to write up policies, and even if he doesn't get elected, he's going to push the narrative with his
Yes.
money. And I'm glad you brought up Kentucky, because we were so focused on Virginia. I'm not sure if anybody's heard about it, but in the chat, if you guys heard about it, did you guys hear about Kentucky having a rally?
Keep your eyes on Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky had a rally. They had about 400 people show up, and all 400 of them were armed. And unlike Virginia, where they said, "Oh well, we have to put you in this little cage area right here, but you can't be armed. But on the outside, you guys can. Capitol grounds can't be armed." No, all 400 that showed up to that rally were inside the Capitol building, and the security guards met them like they knew them, and it was so polar opposite of Virginia.
Wow,
So
I didn't
polar
know. If I'd have
opposite.
known, I mean, Virginia is a little far for me to go, but I could have done a Kentucky or a Tennessee or a Mississippi trip. But
Yeah,
yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that about Kentucky. That's great.
yeah, and I know dangerous. I know Ron, Dangerous Freedom.
Uh-huh.
Uh, he's got these bills going forward. All these bills that are going forward in these pro Second Amendment states have got to be Michael Bloomberg's doing.
Oh,
Throwing
sure it
that
is.
money. Throwing
Without
that
a
money.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Arizona, Kentucky. I mean, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. So, they keep talking about
Well, look at Arizona.
policy.
Arizona is a constitutional carry state. I mean,
Yeah,
they have some really lax gun laws, and now all of a sudden,
yeah.
yeah, just all of a sudden they're going to change all that.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, I know if I know Arizonians are not are not going to stand for that. So it's
No, no,
more than
I
likely
know at
not.
least one that won't.
Yeah. Well, I actually know two. I know Razor Fist. He's a YouTuber. He's from Arizona. I love watching him. He's a little colorful, language wise. DM would have a field day with that one though.
Well, that new
But
law in Virginia, the HB 961, House Bill 961,
mm-hmm.
is intended to turn law-abiding gun owners into criminals in an effort to control the true Americans who actually love our country and keep our Second Amendment close to our heart. In a vote 51 to 48, let's see, we know that Virginia has become the epicenter. It gave us a vote of 51-48. Of course, the
Yeah,
Democrats were 51 and Republicans were 48 because now
yeah,
they have a Democrat Senate and House.
yeah,
So it's an uphill battle in Virginia. That's why Bloomberg's throwing his money there.
yeah,
Bloomberg's the one
and
that got this blackface Northam elected to
yeah,
begin with. He's a plant. He's doing Bloomberg's bidding. That's all it is. So Bloomberg's has got the power, even if he's not
yeah,
president,
yeah, yeah.
and he's
I mean,
wielding that power. Yeah.
I mean, he's the next George Soros. If we're not careful, he's the next. And with Virginia, only 30% showed up to vote. You
Right.
know, and after Northam's doing, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot more people to show up to vote. So, you might think that your vote doesn't count. Some people grow up thinking that,
Yeah.
but it does. Like that one vote could make a difference.
Okay.
So that to me is um, one of the greatest rights as
Yeah.
an American.
To vote. Sure.
Because you have the opportunity to secure your future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future. And honestly, I know some people may not agree with me, but some may agree with me. Talking with my wife. My wife is 24 years old. She is not politically involved whatsoever. Every now and then she knows some things about politics because I try to, you know, let her know about things.
Sure. Yeah, you got
You
to keep
know,
her informed.
I personally was not politically involved until 28, um, and I firmly believe what my wife had said because uh, we last election midterm we had on the ballot whether or not we were going to raise minimum wage, and it wasn't going to be
Okay.
like it wasn't going to be an instant raise to $15 an hour. It was every year they're going to
Incremental rise.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to rise and everything. Well, my wife is a pediatric nurse. Okay, she works at a small clinic, and it passed. And um, that first year, everybody around her at McDonald's, Wendy's, Sonic, whatever the case may be, they got raises. They got like a
Sure.
dollar and 15 cents raise. My wife gets the same amount, um, and she started saying to me, she goes, the reason why is because all these 18-year-olds look at it and say, oh, whoop-de-doo, yes, more money in my pocket, which they don't realize it affects around. It affects, since they get paid more, now Walmart has to up their prices on milk and cheese and whatever, whatever, whatever. The cost of living is going to go up.
And
Little
then
things
once you get
go,
past a certain salary, your
yeah,
taxes go up.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
little thing, I mean, that little raise, but what they don't consider is when people vote, they only consider themselves. Is all they
Hmm.
do is they consider themselves. I considered because my sister-in-law at the time was working at McDonald's, and I thought, hey, that would be great for her to get a little bit more money. But wait a minute, if I vote yes, then that means that everybody around that doesn't get a raise, they're going to be struggling, and then they're going to want a raise, and then it's going to be a snowball effect. It's going to keep
Yes,
growing
sir.
and growing
Yeah.
until we have this huge inflation and the economy collapses and everything just poverty rises, all that. So my wife said it's because of those 18 years, and she goes, I wish because I'm 24 years old, I wish that they would raise the age for voting because nobody's actually gotten into that increment of paying bills, paying taxes, and just knowing what it is to be an adult. And I kind of agreed with her. I said, 18-year-olds are still going to vote emotionally. They're going to vote
A lot of them are
selfishly.
going to vote like mom and daddy says,
Yeah, or yeah, they're going to
or
vote
they're going to go for
selfishly.
the most radical.
Yeah, yeah, something. Oh, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is I don't. I've met very few, very few that are under 18 that don't like Bernie Sanders. Very few. Everybody I've met that is under 18, they love him because I get to go to college. I get and I don't have to worry about student loans and this and that because socialism is great. Live a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
before you make that vote.
yeah. Okay, it's never mind the fact that it's never worked anywhere in the world. Let's take a look at Venezuela. Is that what you want?
Right.
Do you want to live in Venezuela here in America?
No.
And that's something else that kills me. All these people coming across, the immigrants, no matter where they come from, they bring their evil cultures with them that they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
You
See,
escape a country.
Luciano says make it 30 or 35 for the voting age. I mean, that's
Hey, it's
reasonable.
got to be 35 to be president.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because up until that point, you haven't really, you know,
You haven't
you
lived.
you live more liberal than you do conservative.
Oh,
You
I
know.
grew up. I mean, I grew up a Democrat. My daddy was a Democrat, and I never voted. I didn't
Hmm.
vote until I was like you, probably 20 years ago. No, maybe even 15 years ago, I started voting. because
Yeah.
I just never took the time. I just,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, I'm adamant about it, and I try to be as informed as I can. And
Yeah.
I feel sort of guilty that I never voted before.
Yeah.
That
From
is one right that they can't take
yeah.
away from us. We
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah. But from to be honest with you, from 18 to 20, almost 28 for me, it was how much booze can I drink? How many girls can I get with? What party's
Yeah.
going on today? How fast can I drive in this car? I didn't care about what was going on. I really didn't. I
But
didn't.
you grew up.
Yeah, I grew up. I had my first child, uh, a little girl, and I was like, okay, all right, I need to grow up like right now.
Like right
You need
now.
to,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's different when you're by yourself. It's one thing. You don't have a care in the world. But then when you have other people that you have to care about, you go from selfish to selfless.
Yeah.
What happened?
And a child will do that if you're any kind of a father.
No.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't know about you, but it, having a child to me is one of the closest thing to a spiritual
Yeah.
experience that I've ever had,
Yeah. And
and
the sad part is now going back to the Second Amendment is the left. They're trying to use my child as a way to sway my opinion about. Well, what if your child is at school and a gunman comes into the school? Well, I hope to God you guys put in precautionary measures.
yeah.
Put an armed security guard there that is highly trained. Put metal detectors in there. I hope you guys have magnetic locks on those doors so whenever somebody hits a button, well, oh, you want your school to be a prison? Damn right. I'd rather it look like a prison and know that my child is safe than be like, hey, let anybody in. I don't care. I
Well,
don't care. Let them in.
I mean, it's impossible for you to go there and protect your own child,
Yeah, yeah.
and
As
that's what
soon as
happens when we turn our children loose.
yeah,
With these bureaucratic, uh, whatever they are,
yeah,
our schools. I mean, they're nothing but indoctrination centers anymore.
right, right.
But
That's why a lot of people are homeschooling their kids.
yeah, and that's why so many people are so adamant against homeschooling. Uh, Personally, I know several people who were homeschooled, and I know people who have homeschooled their children. And these kids, let me tell you, one of them I think is in pharmacist school.
Yeah,
I mean, they're just as smart if
yeah,
their parents do it right, if they're taught
right.
right. I'm sure there's abuse in the home schooling, but
Yeah,
if they do it right, your kid will be just as smart as any kid that went through 12 years in a public
yeah,
school.
yeah. I mean, they throw all those. Well, your child isn't going to have any social skills if
And if
you
you do
send
it
them
right, they're
public.
going to do it within. Oh, sure they will. Take them to
Yeah,
church.
yeah, right.
Take them to
They're
church. Get them
yeah,
involved in community
yeah,
ball. You
yeah,
know, yeah. We
yeah.
don't
They
have to
don't
go to
have,
your school to play sports or
yeah,
anything. You know.
yeah. It's insane, and it's just the mental gymnastics and every single aspect that they have to go through to try to justify why your children have to go. If somebody wants to take their child to a private school, because private schools are better than public schools, because you're actually paying them the money, you know,
Sure.
and and
Sure.
and as and
You
you
can
tell
have
them,
higher
hey,
expectations from a
yeah,
private school. Yeah.
yeah, and that's why they're so adamant about not having school choice. They don't
Oh,
want
oh
school
yeah. They
choice.
want you in public schools
Yeah,
because they want to dumb you down as dumb as they can.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
And me and my wife, we're gonna get to that point because my daughter's 4 years old. She
Yeah.
turned
Won't be
four.
long. She'll be going to
Yeah,
kindergarten.
yeah. She turned 4 on February 2nd,
Well, good.
and
Happy
and
birthday.
uh, and she's gone and seen counselors and therapists because we thought that she may be on the kind of autism spectrum, but the therapist said no, she doesn't. She's just so smart that she is bored with everything
I
around her.
had the same problem with both of my girls, but
Yeah.
they never got in trouble. I can honestly say that. But yeah, both of my girls, bless their hearts, they did it themselves. It was none of my doing. They both have degrees.
Mm-hmm.
One has a degree in childcare, and the other one in biblical studies, and is a youth minister at I hate to say it, but one of these feel good churches down, about
Yeah.
50 miles from here.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Oh.
yeah, man, there's nothing like having a child. So I'm proud for you.
Yeah.
And you have two now, is that right?
Yeah. I have two. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
great. Well, you
Yeah.
found out
And
what caused it, so now you can do other things.
yeah. And like I tell people, and I've actually told my wife this. I said, "Honey, I love you, but when I first met eyes with those two girls, when they came out, I met eyes with them. I was like, that is love that you never experienced. Like I told my wife, I said, I love her, and I'm not trying to down my wife or anything,
Right.
but
It's a different kind of love,
yeah,
brother.
yeah. It's like I would take a bullet for my wife. I'd take two for my kids.
Of
You know,
course. Of course.
it's almost like
I
that.
mean, you chose her.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah,
choose that baby. That's a
yeah,
gift
yeah,
from God. I mean, that is a
yeah,
blessing.
yeah,
And
and I know Detroit Preppin has his first child, and he knows what it is. I saw him
yeah,
in
yeah,
the chat there.
he just had his first. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and and some people just they ask the dumbest questions sometimes, like how can you bring a child into this world the way it is? Why not? Maybe my child might be the one that you know
Makes the
so
difference.
yeah, solves the problem. You know?
Yeah. Oh no, you can't. Yeah, I've heard that. Oh, why would anybody want to have a child in this day and time?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Major, they were telling me that back in '85 and '87 when my girls were born.
Yeah.
They were saying the same thing back then, and they were saying the same thing in the '60s and the same thing in the '50s. It was
Yeah.
after the Second World War. Everybody was living the dream. A picket fence and
Mm-hmm.
a two-car garage and all that kind of good stuff. But that stuff sort of went away, and
Yeah.
reality set in. And then people just, uh, the nuclear family. You ever heard that term?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? It's a mother and father and two kids, a
Yeah.
boy and a girl.
Yeah.
The perfect
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
it's some people don't need kids. That's
Yeah.
why we have, the problem we have with kids today. A lot of people, if you had to go through the paperwork to have a child that you do to adopt a dog or a cat,
Yeah.
you probably wouldn't get pregnant.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, but there's no
It,
consequences with abortion now. There's no
yeah.
consequences for your actions. If you have the money, we can take care of
No.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we can
Which
take care
which
of this.
which I kind of I was adopted, and I know several people that friends of mine that are going through the whole adoption thing, and it's like here's an idea. Let's just make it switch places, adoption and abortion. Just switch them,
Yeah,
switch the roles. Make it hard as hard as it is to adopt a child. Make it that hard to abort a child. And make it
yeah,
that much easier to adopt a child.
yep. And I've said that about marriage.
Hmm.
The same thing. If you charge $2,000 to get married, we'd have a whole lot less divorces.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
so yeah, it's same thing. But the children are the important thing,
yeah,
Major.
hmm,
Always, they're always the important thing.
yeah,
Uh, and no matter what the topic or what the discussion is, the children should always come first.
yeah, yeah. You know, it's, and that's they you know how we're talking about the Second Amendment, and you know they want to bring the children and talk about the school shootings and this and that. You know, as long as the child's outside of the room, they actually care about the child. But when it's in the room, it's like, you know, it's no big deal. It's like, really, really. So you're going to do all these mental gymnastics uh, to make it where it is legitimate for you. You know, oh, it's a parasite. Well, do you know what a parasite is? What does a
It's a,
parasite do?
it's
You
a
know,
piece of flesh. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Tissue.
yeah. It's a clump of cells. You know, and it's
Yeah.
all these little things that it's like, no, just, you know, and there are some good groups out there. You know, like Stephen Crowder. I think he does a great job with his Change My Mind segment, um, where he talks about abortion, and he shows a lot of times I have learned that people are more visual. You know, it like they don't understand what's going on until they see. You know, and Living Waters, they do that. They go out and they show.
Right.
You
I've
know,
heard of Living Waters. Yeah.
yeah, and they do a great job. You know, it just brings tears to my eyes when I see people on camera. They have one position, and then they just talk and they talk and they talk about God and love, and you know, let me show you a picture of a baby. I got a picture of a baby, and it's a baby in the womb. You know, first stage. Like, look at that, and that, you know, the things that they're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm not going to vote uh, pro-choice anymore. You know, because they, and just the explanation. A lot of times, that's why I kind of wish people would stop saying, you know, you can never get to, you can never change the mind of somebody that thinks this way, or you know, a liberal or this or that. Well, if that was the case, let me ask this: why does the walk away movement even exist? If that is not, if you cannot talk to a liberal, why does the walk away movement exist?
Well, sure you can,
Yeah.
but the only problem there, Major, is you're going to have to go through a whole lot of them before you find one that's willing to
Right.
even have a decent
Oh
conversation
yeah.
about the
Yeah.
topics.
Yeah. But you know, if you're really passionate in changing somebody's mind, then you will go through that. You know, if you are really passionate about getting somebody to see your views, you know, that's why I always avoid, excuse me, I avoid the um, Twitter, the Facebook, all those arguments. I avoid them, especially when somebody starts to call me names. You know, because my mentality is, as soon as you start attacking me personally, the conversation's over. I've
Yep.
won the debate. I've
Yep.
won the debate. There's nothing you can say from this point. And that's another thing too, is if you want people to side with you, don't go for the personal attacks. Attack the problem, not the person. Because as soon as, you know, just like how I will shut down, if I come up, hey, you know, idiot, why do you think like this? Are you stupid or something? You know, as soon as I say that to them, they're gonna shut down. They're gonna. I
They're
don't
going
want
to
to
shut
listen.
down or
Yeah,
retaliate in kind.
yeah. I don't want
Yep.
to listen to what this guy has to say, even though what
Exactly.
I could be saying is true, and it could reveal, you know, their true nature, and they can see where they're wrong. But the insults, yeah, you know, uh, you gotta stop. You
Yeah,
know?
you gotta know, uh, you gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you
yeah.
got to know what you're doing, and you have to be aware of your surroundings, who you're talking to, and what you're talking about,
Exactly.
and who's listening.
Yeah.
And that is if you're in public a lot. I mean, I personally, I'm not going to have to worry about too much because I'm pretty much a homebody, but I'm not restricted here. I can
Right.
go away anytime I want to, but I enjoy
Right.
it here.
Yeah.
This is my home. I'm comfortable here,
Right.
and I've got everything here that I personally need in my life. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy staying here. So that can be a good thing as far as viruses go and getting sick. You know, but I mean, I go to Walmart and I go to the grocery store and I go to
Right.
restaurants and stuff like that. But I'm pretty much a homebody. I don't,
Yeah.
I spend most of my time trying to do research. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, trying to find something to save for the next day,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I enjoy it. YouTube has given
Well,
me a purpose,
yeah.
you know.
I
So
make a joke. I make a joke with my wife because see, my wife is an introvert and I'm an extrovert,
uh-huh.
and I make a joke about our professions that we do. I'm a truck driver. I sit alone all day,
Sure,
and
exactly. I get it
she's around people all day, and I'm like,
all day long.
we chose the wrong professions for what our personalities are.
Yeah, I
you
drove
know,
for 7 years, so I know about that
oh
lonely road, brother.
yeah, because as soon as you get, you stop and you find another truck driver, you can sit there for 2 hours and be like, oh man, I'm supposed to be on the road. And it's like,
Well,
thank you for so much for the conversation, man. I got to get going.
yeah, Willman 757 said that he talked to a liberal once and he lost 4 IQ points.
Well, I mean that's not as bad. Like you could lose 8, or you could lose 16.
Thank you,
But
DM, for putting tactical text information out there. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, thank you.
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
you can't get a better mod than DM.
Oh
DM
yeah,
is she's the best. Donna is a an excellent,
yeah,
fine mod, and she's a good Christian lady. So,
yeah. I like
yeah.
what Pete said about her. He was like, yeah, I think she like works for the CIA. She's got like computer screen here, computer screen here, and she's like, okay, who's live right now? But yeah, she's
But
good
she
work.
says she's a homebody too, so she
Yeah,
can babysit those computer screens. But we love you,
yeah, yeah,
DM. We're just
yeah,
teasing you, DM. We love you.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, American Warhorse is in here. He's another good Christian man. I love Vanny. He's a great guy. Detroit prepping, a new father. Let's see. We got Iron
hmm
Crane. Now that guy's special. He's been very kind to me. Lynn M. Gary Holland. Philip Turner, another good Christian man, and Sue Eason, and my friend Patty Toft White, Kevin Moore, fan 33. Uh, I just wanted to name off a few of you: Tigger Killam, Mark
yeah,
Miller, Gary
yeah.
Holland again. Yeah, I just wanted to
Mark
say
Miller.
hi. Mark Miller, I know you. I think you may have been in here before, but I don't really
Yeah,
remember.
he loves your Bible study.
Oh, okay, that's
You
where I've
do,
seen
yeah,
him then.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's been
okay.
in there. He
I
loves
don't do
that.
much talking in my chat when I do my Bible study. I never even look at
Yeah,
it, to be honest with you.
yeah,
But that's something I love to do. Uh,
yeah,
and we're going to really get started next week in Exodus,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's when we get into the fun stuff. I
yeah,
mean, really, that's when we get into the plagues and we get into murder and
yeah,
intrigue and everything. So um, there's a lot to talk about in Exodus. So we're going to have a good time Sunday getting started on that. We've
yeah.
got about 7 minutes. Do you have
Oh
another
yeah.
topic you want to talk on, or?
Oh well, yeah. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. I know a lot of people are probably tired of it because I am. I'm, and it kind of bit them in the butt because they had the lowest views, um, the lowest view ratings ever, is the Oscars, and
What's that?
the Oscars.
Yeah, what's that?
Oh, it's a Hollywood thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Hollywood.
being facetious.
Hollywood. Yeah, I
I
know.
didn't even know they had the Oscars, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
but I know
oh,
what they are. But
you
yeah,
know, it's it's one of those things. Like when you're in one of those professions, um, I've noticed a lot of them lose sense of reality. You know, people like Brad Pitt and Colin Kaepernick and all that. Like it's just who there. It's a competition to see who's the most woke this day, and then come tomorrow they're no longer as woke as they were yesterday because something new came up. And I'm just really sick and tired of seeing these celebrities that have all this money, and all this security, and
Yeah.
just all eyes on them, that they they have to tell me. They feel like they have to tell me. Now, I'm not saying they aren't entitled to their own opinions, but here's the thing: when you are accepting an award, you're out there playing on the sidelines, or whatever. Don't leave politics out of it. You know, like I even got on the whole Kanye West thing where he got up there. Yes, he was preaching about the Republican Party, and it was true, but it was his concert, and I'm like, no, no, because I'm the type of person,
Yeah.
I cannot condemn one and condone the other. I have to condemn it all. If you're a celebrity, stop using these platforms up there, stopping the show, getting all this attention. Stop it. Like,
Well, you
if
could
you,
always be like, it could be like Sheryl Crow. You remember her?
yeah,
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 Sheryl
sure,
Crow. Yeah, she was doing a concert, and she stopped right in the middle of the concert and told everybody that they needed to use one square of toilet paper at a time. So,
yeah,
so you see where her mentality is. I mean,
yeah,
they have no sense.
right, right,
I mean, they go to the
yeah,
extreme on, but they're going to tell you what to do,
yeah,
even though they don't have to abide by it. But that's the same thing that the politicians do and
yeah,
all the elite do. You
yeah.
know,
Every
uh,
single,
American Joe, I might as well go ahead and say American Joe Show, great guy. But
yeah,
the average American Joe, you
yeah,
know, he busts his butt, 40 hours a week to make a living,
right, right,
and moving on
yeah,
down the line, as Alabama said.
yeah.
But the
And
song,
it's you know uh, a lot of people, like, I like my weekend sports because I want to grill some hot dogs, I want to grill some hamburgers, have a
right?
beer, and watch some sports. If I want to watch politics, I will turn on the news. I don't want to watch politics. I don't want to watch politics on some sports segment. Like, even these athletes, I think anytime a reporter or whatever, comes with that loaded question, like, I just want them to look at the person, that asks, well, what do you think about Donald Trump? And we're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're not going to ask me about the game that I just played where I scored 17 touchdowns? Come on now. They can't do that. They have to be like, oh, well, oh, I hate Donald Trump. Woohoo! Look at me, I'm so woke. You know, it's insane. I just want one of these celebrities to be like, why are you asking that stupid question?
Oh man, yeah.
Seriously.
Well, we've got a few out there in Hollywood that are still have a few brains, like
Well,
James
yeah.
Wood, and Clint Eastwood and a couple
Hmm.
others. But yeah, it. But see, I take the Hollywood just like I do with all of the congressmen and senators on the Democrat side, and probably half of the Republicans too. And I just put them over here on the left hand side with the goats because I know that there's no good coming out of them.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, uh, so
Yeah.
I'd rather raise the sheep that are going to produce something.
Yeah.
And that's why God put the goats on the left and the sheep on the right.
My favorite celebrity of all times, and I swear I will stop watching his movies if he says anything political, which I don't think he will ever, is Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves lives lives in the same apartment that he has lived in for the longest time. It's
he's a very
public.
basic guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If celebrities just lived their life like he does, the world would be a better place, and
yeah.
we wouldn't have all
I'm
this.
sure he takes extravagant trips and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but he
Yeah.
lives like a decent human being, just like
Yeah.
you or I. But
Yeah.
brother,
Yeah.
we've done pretty good. We have filled
Yeah,
this
we did.
hour,
Yeah, we have.
and I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, I
I
appreciate you
always
having me.
enjoy having you, and maybe you'll get back down this way again. And Heck, maybe I'll just meet you before you unload, and I'll just ride over there with you, and we can talk while they're unloading your wagon.
Yeah, yeah.
Do
Never
something.
know, man.
Spend a little
Yeah.
more than 45 minutes together.
Yeah,
And maybe
I'll
my
be in
mom won't
Memphis.
have to have an appointment. But Pete the
Yeah.
Patriot's coming up, everybody.
Yeah.
Jump over there. Go see Pete.
Yep.
And God bless. I love you. Thank you.
God bless y'all.
Major Mayhem, thank you. And I'll have you back on again and talk to you soon.
All right.
God bless everybody. Have a good night.